The story begins on Christmas night, when everyone had decorated their homes. In one such home, we see a man named Manel, who had come with his wife to visit his elder sister and was playing with his nephew. As the night grew late, he started telling his nephew a story so that they could leave soon. After saying goodbye to his sister, they left. While his wife was driving, Manel noticed that she didn't look well and asked if something was wrong. She replied that he already knew she wanted to have a baby. Manel said he did too, but not right now. When the time was right, his wife got upset, saying that he never really wanted one. As they argued, a car suddenly sped past them, causing their vehicle to lose control. Though his wife somehow managed to stabilize the car, she ended up on the wrong side of the road, and before she could correct it, a truck crashed into them. The car flipped over badly. Manel survived the accident, but his wife died. A year later, Manel is seen living alone with his cat in a big house. He hears on the news that a dangerous virus is spreading across the country, leading to border closures. The virus causes infected people to become extremely violent, like zombies. But currently, it's under some control. The infected aren't biting anymore. While the world debates how the virus began, Manel, still grieving his wife's death, remains indifferent. He ignores precautions and goes out driving around the city, where signs read, "Welcome to the beginning of the end." He visits the seaside to sell a boat his wife had bought. As he heads back, he misses a call from his sister Belen, but later calls her back. She tells him that since her husband is in the army, they're being moved to an island for safety from the virus. She urges Manel to come along. Though he refuses at first, he finally agrees due to her insistence and sets out with his cat the next morning toward the airport. On the way, he sees many people heading the same way. Listening to the news, he learns that a second wave of the virus has already begun overnight. This version spreads through bites and infected blood. At the airport, Manal stood in a long queue to get tickets because everyone wanted to go to Ireland. Suddenly, it was announced that the flight to Ireland had been cancelled. People grew anxious about how they would reach Ireland. Just then, Manal received a call from Belen, who informed him that the airport was being shut down due to the discovery of a new virus variant, and all flights were being cancelled. She advised him to return home immediately and not go outside, promising to keep him updated. As panic spread at the airport, Manal managed to escape with his cat and started driving home. However, he got stuck in a massive traffic jam. After hours of waiting with no progress, he decided to walk home with his cat. It was night by the time he arrived, only to find soldiers outside his neighbor's house, setting up a plastic tunnel and dragging the neighbor away. The man had been infected with the new virus variant. Manal went to sleep shaken. The next morning, Belen called again, warning that the government was building quarantine zones called safe zones to isolate and protect people. However, rumors suggested these zones were dangerous due to overcrowding and higher chances of infection. She told him not to leave the house under any circumstances. Soon, the borders were closed, and viral videos showed infected people attacking others. Then came a government emergency alert that all public places would be shut down. Manal rushed to the store but found it empty. Whatever little remained, people fought over. Outside, he saw an infected person attacking a police officer. Manal grabbed a rod to help, but the infected man charged at him. Before he could react, the infected man was shot dead by the officer. The officer, having been bitten, told Manal to stay away and then took his own life. Back home, Manal reinforced his doors and windows. By evening, the network was down. That night, military buses came to his area to take people to safe zones, but Manal turned off his lights and hid to avoid being taken. 2 weeks later, he was the only one left in the area. He recorded a video for his sister saying he was fine, but running out of food. When he tried to send it, the network still wasn't working. Fearing starvation, he went out armed in search of supplies. After searching many homes, he found nothing and wandered far from home. In one house, he met an elderly woman in a wheelchair. Hoping to find food, he asked her, but she had none. She told him about houses she had been watching that might have supplies. Manal went and found enough food for both of them. They shared a meal, but the woman later suggested he should have gone with the army. Otherwise, hunger would eventually kill them. Manal stayed hopeful and later found more food, making them both happy. He told her about his deceased wife, saying it was perhaps better she died before witnessing all this. After returning home, he made another video for his sister. Suddenly, the old woman's voice came through on the walkie-talkie, urging him to turn on the radio. Government officials were announcing that survivors should come to the safe zone camp for help and possible transport to Ireland. The old woman didn't trust it, fearing infection in large crowds. Manal insisted they had no choice due to the food crisis and promised to take her with him. The next morning, he packed up and went to her house, only to find she had overdosed and left a note thanking him for his care and apologizing for being a burden. Heartbroken, he left alone, but was attacked by an infected woman. He defended himself and shot her, though it pained him deeply. He recorded another message for his sister, saying he could no longer wait for her and would go to the safe zone himself. With roads blocked, he took a forest route on his bike, chased by infected people, and finally reached the camp, only to find it filled with corpses. All who had come were either dead or infected. His bike crashed into a corpse, causing the cat's box to fall. He tried restarting the bike, but it wouldn't start. So he picked up the box and continued on foot through the forest, with infected people chasing him. He took shelter in a building and locked the door as the infected slammed against it. Escaping through the back, he found a small ship and climbed aboard. Seeing blood inside, he panicked. Suddenly, he heard a noise from the cabin. When he opened the door, there was a small baby on the ship who had also become infected, looking terrifyingly bloodied. Manal thought if it had been an adult infected, he could have killed them and sailed away. But he couldn't bring himself to harm the child. Instead, he took a small boat and left the ship. On his journey, he messaged Belen, telling her she was right about the safe zone. It was just as bad there, with some people dead and others infected. As night fell, he saw a small ship approaching and signaled them to stop. The people on the ship pointed guns at him, but after he assured them he wasn't infected, they allowed him aboard. They all sailed towards a large ship, where they were given food. On board, Manal met 3 people: the pilot, the ship's captain, and the captain's assistant. He asked the pilot about a family that had approached the ship the night before. But the pilot denied it, saying no one came. Suspicious, Manal began to observe everything closely. He confronted the pilot, asking why they were on the ship instead of using nearby planes or helicopters to go to the island. But the pilot grew angry, warning him to focus on staying alive and not interfere. Later that night, Manal sneaked away in a small boat, but as he was searching for the family, he found them locked up in the basement, gagged and bound. When he removed their gag, they asked about their woman and child, but Manal denied knowing anything. Just then, the captain's man arrived and aimed a gun at Manal. But before he could shoot, the pilot intervened, strangling the man with a rope. The pilot scolded Manal for disobeying orders and tried to get him to stop asking questions. Manal, however, wanted to escape and, using a small boat, tried to flee. But the captain's men saw him and opened fire, killing the man the pilot had saved and injuring the pilot. Manal rushed the pilot to a nearby hospital, hoping to find a helicopter there. On the way, he asked about the family, and the pilot revealed that the captain was a horrible person who took people to the island, turned them into slaves, and mistreated women. Furious, Manal said these people should be punished when things got better. Upon reaching the hospital, they were ambushed by a group of infected people, but Manal managed to shoot them all. Inside, he found the hospital in chaos, with no doctors or nurses, just blood and carnage. As he attended to the pilot, an infected man attacked him, but Manal shot him, saving himself. The gunfire attracted more infected, and he had to flee. He was helped by a nurse who led him to a safe area where there were also a doctor and 3 children. The nurse operated on the pilot, and when Manal asked about helicopters, she confirmed there was one nearby, but warned it was dangerous due to the infected. Manal shared a painful memory about bringing his wife to that place after an accident, and now regretted not listening to her. Just then, he received messages from Balin, telling him she had arrived at the island and everything was great. Before he could respond, gunshots were heard. A group of thugs had arrived looking for food. Manal quickly ran down to warn everyone that the thugs, the bad people, had reached the hospital. They had to reach the helicopter, and so they proceeded cautiously, avoiding the infected people. However, one of the infected managed to bite the doctor. Though Manal killed the infected person, the doctor realized she too had been infected. She told the nurse to take care of the children and then walked into the infected area herself. The group continued on their way, but they still had to reach the helicopter while dodging the infected. Manal, using his intellect, saw some barricades with tires and connected them to create a barrier, allowing the group to move forward. However, one tire got stuck, and when they tried to free it, the barricades collided, making noise and attracting a swarm of infected people. Despite being protected by the barricades, the infected managed to climb over, and they had to fight them off with axes. The number of infected was overwhelming, and they were getting nowhere. Meanwhile, the nurse opened a barricade and ran with the children to the helicopter. After a while, the pilot joined them on the helicopter, leaving Manal alone to fight off the infected. He eventually joined them, but the helicopter wouldn't start. As more infected breached the area, Manal fought them off with his axe. Soon, a group of thugs arrived with guns and also entered the helicopter area. Manal and the pilot, desperate, devised a plan. Manal broke a gate with his axe, allowing the infected to flood into the helicopter area, distracting the thugs. While the thugs fought the infected, the helicopter finally started, and the pilot took off. The nurse threw down a ladder, and Manal climbed aboard, barely escaping. He was relieved as they were about to reach the island. He called Balin, excited to tell her that he was almost there. But Balin's response made his heart drop. She urgently told him to turn back, as the infected had already reached the island, and it was no longer safe. The call cut off, but Manal, determined to rescue his sister and her family, landed the helicopter on the island, ready to face whatever awaited him. The movie ends on this suspenseful note. Thanks for watching.